Hello everyone, my name is Danielle Harden and this is my video for the My Favorite Poem project for Miss Preston's 6th period British literature class. My poem is Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. The full title is Dulce et Decorum Est Pro Patria Mori. This, translated from the original Latin, is how sweet and honorable to die for one's country. The poem is rather candid about the harsh brutalities of war. It's been compared to other portrayals of war like All Quiet on the Western Front and Band of Brothers, books and movies that are very open and honest about how awful war is and don't try to glamorize it or glorify it like a lot of other media tries to. So the title is kind of preparing you for this poem is going to be rough. A little about the author. Wilfred Owen was born on March 18th, 1893 in Shropshire, England. He lived on his grandfather's land for most of his childhood with his family, and he enlisted into the British Army in 1915, a year after World War I started. He was immediately assigned to fight on the Western Front, and he was later injured in combat in 1917. He was sent to Craig Lockhart War Hospital outside of Edinburgh, Scotland, and there he was diagnosed with shell shock, which is what the doctors in that period of time called PTSD, because they did not know that that was an actual disorder that people had. While he was there, he became really good friends with another poet and veteran named Siegfried Sassoon. Sassoon was a much better poet than Owen, and he became his mentor, and he would edit Owen's poetry for him and give him pointers and tips and just encourage him to keep writing. In 1918, he was discharged from Craig Lockhart Hospital, and he rejoined his unit in Scarborough, England, later that year. Also later that year, he was killed in action while crossing a canal in Ors, France. He died on November 4th, 1918. 1 week after his death, to the day, both sides signed the armistice that ended World War I. His family found out on the same day, Armistice Day, that he had died serving his country. So that is basically the beginning and end of his life. And now I will read you the poem Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen. Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge, till on the haunting flares we turned our backs, and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep, many had lost their boots, but limped on bloodshot. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Gas, gas! Quick, boys, an ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone was still out yelling and stumbling, and floundering like a man in fire or lime, dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under a green sea I saw him drowning. In all my dreams before my helpless sight he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dream you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin, if you could hear it at every jolt, the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as cud, of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, Dulce et Decorum Est Pro Patria Mori.